Hello everybody, how is it going? I am Lucas and welcome to another episode of Amps of the Axe 3. Today we are going to be looking at Fractal's own amps. These amps are made by Fractal themselves. They don't exist in the real world like a lot of the other amps do in the Axe 3. And then this is going to be part one of two. So I'm going to go over a few of them today, and in another video I'm going to kind of go over some of the other ones, and I'll explain that as we go along the way. So the very first amp that we're going to be checking out is it's going to be the Fazz bass amp, and I'm going to be using a few different resources today. I'm going to be using the X Amp Guide, I'm going to be using the Axe wiki page, and I'm going to be using another part of the X Amp Guide. This is like individual ones outside of the PDF. So let me grab my bass and we'll talk about the Fazz bass. So I'm going to be using my Schecter Stiletto Stealth bass right here. It's 35-inch scale length. We're going to be in standard tuning, and so basically what I did for the Fazz bass is I'm using the it's the ML SoundLab SV bass 410 or the 57 on it for the cab. Have a little bit of room in there. Some of my settings in there. It's very, very simple. Nothing really complicated. And all I really did for Fazz bass was I kind of just turned the knobs till it sounded good. These knobs have active controls, as you can see right here for the bass. It's what Cliff thought would be a good amp, bass amp with some active controls. I literally just turned them. It came out a little bit dark, so I just kind of turned up the treble. Left the master kind of low. I normally do that on kind of a lot of things. I kind of keep the master low unless I like to crank it to kind of affect the sound. But master's right there, level's right there. Let me let you hear what it sounds like. I mean, it's a very simple amp. It gets the job done. I like it. Just to give you a kind of what I was thinking when I was dialing this in, when I play bass, it's kind of freeing because I don't care about it as much as a guitar. Meaning, with guitar, I get really meticulous and adjust stuff. Bass, I'm just like, okay, let's crank some knobs, let's get it going. Fazz bass is great. If you literally like, okay, I need a bass amp, let's get this going, use it. Just use it. Pick yourself a good IR, just turn the knobs and go. It's very easy to dial in. It's very simple, and that's actually the only Fazz bass amp that we have. So the next amp up would be the Brutal amp, the Brutes amp, if we go chronologically. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip this one, and I'm gonna put it in the second video, because in the second video I'm gonna do like Fazz Modern, and I'm gonna use my 7-string for that. So a lot of the higher gain stuff's gonna come in the second video. So I'm gonna leave Brutes for that. So the next one we're gonna check it out is gonna be the Fazz Brown. Let me switch guitars real quick. All right, got my Anderson Cobra. Has HC1 and HC3 pickups. Those are Anderson pickups. 1's in the neck, 3 is in the bridge. So this is gonna be the Fazz Brown, and it is modeled after Mr. One Eddie Van Halen, who has recently just passed away as of filming this. He passed away last week. Very sad. Passed away at 65, sent shockwaves through the guitar world. But he's super famous for his Brown sound from his cranked Super Lead Marshall amp. And that's kind of what this is. So the Brit Brown was created in the Axe 2, okay? But the Fazz Brown was actually created in the standard and ultra days, and it originally wasn't put in the Axe 2, but a lot of people wanted it in there, so it was put in the Axe 2 and it got carried over to the Axe 3. So, and as the X says right here, they sound a lot of the same. Like the Brit Brown and the Fazz Brown sound the same, except the Brit Brown's a little bit brighter and lower in volume, and that's really the only difference between them. And for a lot of these amps on here, I'm going to be using ML Mega Green. It's a Mesa oversized cab with some of the best Celestion greenback speakers that were ever made. These are my settings. It's going to be for pretty much almost every amp in here is going to be those. So let's check out the Fazz Brown. And it's kind of a little bit raspy. Let me lower the input a little bit. Fine, it gets you in that realm of Eddie. Now, I did not sit here and tweak it to trying to get it to sound exactly like Eddie, because I would have failed horribly. Only Eddie can play Eddie's licks the way he can. He was one of a kind. So I'm not even really going to try and dial it in to try and get like toward Eddie's sound. I just kind of dialed it into the way I thought it sounded good. Master low. And I scooped a little bit of mids out of here. That's really it. I didn't really do a whole lot. I find this amp, it is really cool. So we do have a lot of Marshalls in here. I mean, this is pretty much Cliff's own vision of what an overdriven Marshall would sound like. And it's fairly easy to dial in. It doesn't really fight you very much. And I think it's pretty tight. Alright, moving right along to the next amp. It's going to be the Class A. Let me move to my single coil position. Everything you've heard so far has been on the bridge position on my Anderson. So for the Class A, this one is basically what this is. It was born by accident. A lot of these amps are born by accident. So it's a blackface preamp into a cathode-based 6L6 power amp with no negative feedback. This was a happy accident when originally modeling a car Rambler in the beta version of the release. Several mistakes were made in the prior to mimicking the amp, but the model was very well liked, so we decided to make it into its own custom amp. It's sort of like a blackface, Fender blackface. It's called Class A, and a lot of the Vox stuff in here is called Class A. So it's kind of like a Fender meets a Vox, kind of, to me in a way. That's sort of the vibe I got from it, since the Vox stuff in here is called Class A. And let me let you hear what it sounds like. The clean sound on here is absolutely fantastic. Let me lower the level a little bit and I'll crank it a little bit so you can hear what it sounds like if it goes to overdrive. I like the Class A. I think it's really cool. It definitely has that Fender uniqueness to it, but it has something a little bit extra in it, if it makes any sense. It's very easy to dial in. I don't even mess with the EQ on here. I'm still using Mega Green. I think it sounds really cool. The next amp up is gonna be the Fazz Crunch. So for the Fazz Crunch, that is Cliff's take, or Fractal's take, on an ultimate British sounding amp. It's more dynamic and open than a Plexi. So it's basically like Cliff's Plexi, kind of like what he thought would be a perfect Plexi. Everything I dial in is going to be an authentic, by the way, guys. Just throwing that out there. So master, meaning I don't use anything in IDEO, I just use stuff in authentic. So master volume is cranked on here. I sort of try to dial it in like a real Plexi, you know, just kind of cranking a lot of the knobs all the way. I turned the bright switch off. I can't remember if it was on and off by default, but I turned it off, and let's see what it sounds like. Definitely Plexi sounding. A little bit of EQ is hooking out there. It's very unique. The way I look at the FAS amps is, if you're checking out different sounds and one quite just doesn't match up, or you just kind of just want to do your own complete thing, check these out. Fazz Crunch is very cool. Gives you your Plexi sound. So the next one up is the Hotrod. Now the Hotrod is Cliff's idea of a modified Marshall. So this is quoting Clifford here. He says the hot rod is what he thinks a modified Marshall should be. He finds the brown eye and hairy brown eye for Freeman a little bit too boomy and scoop. He did Bogner's are too dark. Splons don't have enough compression. So it's his take on his perfect modded Marshall. Once again, using ML Green, and let's check it out. I really like the hot rod model. I'm not even using a drive on this. It has plenty of juice and get up. Can be a little bit harsh and bright, so I mean, and it has tons of gain, as you can see. Oh, move my glasses. I have it low, probably go even a little bit lower. Hot rod it's pretty cool. It's very unique. I have to just say that it's very unique. Moving right along, the next amp up is gonna be lead 1. So lead 1 is a like high gain amp with some smooth mid-range is basically how it was described, and I read that, yes, here. Neutral high gain lead tone with tight mid-range. I believe it's in the pod or in my J station, I can't remember. The lead 1 amp was the Soldano, and that's what this reminds me a lot of. It reminds me of the Soldano with without a honky mid-range, if that makes any sense. Let me just play it for you. Played on the neck pickup, and then I just finished right there on the middle position, giving you a little bit of a tour. The lead 1, I know I keep saying this, but it's unique, and I do like this one. I think it would be a really cool amp for like lead type of tones, definitely for sure. And the mid-range in it is very smooth. Like if I'm comparing it to a Soldano, the mid like push on it's in a little bit different spot. I don't even remember if, yeah, I just took a little bit of mids out of it. That's really all I did. I didn't really get too fancy with it. I pushed the depth all the way down. Lead one's really, it's cool. And the very last amp we're going to be checking out is going to be lead number 2. And for this one, it's a hot-rodded British lead sound with a tone stack by Custom Audio Electronics. So it's kind of a hybrid amp, I guess you can kind of say, for the lead 2. And this one leads itself more to an actual, quote, I want to say lead sound, because, you know, sometimes like on a 5150 it has the lead channel, you can kind of play rhythm on it. Lead just kind of usually means it has like a lot more gain. This one has a ton of gain. This one has so much gain, like, watch. Yeah, this one has tons of gain on it. Like I said, this one reminds me more of like a true type of lead amp, because you have so much like distortion on it, you don't even need a drive. I do have a drive on it. Let me turn the drive off. don't really remember why I put the drive on here. I'm sorry about that. It sounds kind of cool to drive off. Or if you really want to get a chalked up lead sound and you want to do some single note stuff, you can put a drive on it. Alright guys, that is going to wrap things up for the Fazz Customs. Like I said, this is part 1 of 2. Guys, if you thought this was cool, leave me a thumbs up. Guys, make sure you are subscribed. I don't want you to miss part 2. Part 2, we're going to be using a 7-string Black Cat. We're going to be doing some drop stuff. Going to be really cool. Going to be more of the heavier metal amps for part 2. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Catch you in the next one. Peace.